Hello, everybody. I hope all is well. I am Demetra Kaye of the Demetra Kaye Show, where you can find me here on YouTube on Sunday through Wednesday, 5 p.m. Central Time. But right now, I am on the African Diaspora News Channel, obviously, right? So I just want to go over a couple things before we get started. Today, we're going to be talking about are Black Americans still boycotting now that the shutdown is over? If you have not heard, the shutdown is officially over as of last night. Of course, we'll get into that just a little bit as a recap. And as always, I'll take about the first 15 minutes or so to speak. And then I'll spend the rest of the time with you all in the comment section, addressing your comments, questions, or concerns. Of course, we always start off with a topic, and then we kind of sometimes venture into other things, and that's okay too. So yeah, it is Thursday, which is my Friday, which means that I'm kind of done working as of Thursday, and then I start back up on Sunday. So, I kind of dressed it down a little bit. I'm wearing my friend's shirt. We are not our ancestors. It has, obviously the initials and the hands with broken handcuffs. There's something on the back, but that's, kind of like a pay-per-view type of thing. I'm just playing. But nevertheless, so he fashioned this shirt to basically say, hey, we are not our ancestors. I take it to mean so many other things. A lot of times when people say we're not our ancestors, it's kind of a disrespect to our ancestors, in a sense, alluding that our ancestors were punks or something like that. But I often say that, no, we're not our ancestors, because our ancestors were not punks. They just had a different set of circumstances. And even with that different set of circumstances, they still did what they had to do. So this is a great shirt. And right off the top, I don't remember the website. I think it's we are not our ancestors.net. If you're interested in looking at his product. So anyway, also speaking of, and it's Black owned. I don't think I need to tell you that. Black owned. We have an app, African Diaspora News app, that you could get on your Play Store on your phone, whether you have an Android, iPhone, whatever it is. You can go there and you can download the app if you haven't already. We ask that you do that because we do not own these platforms, especially the one that you see me on right now. It is owned by somebody else that does not look like us, and that they do not look like us. They also do not think like us, and they can say, hey, I don't like what you're saying, whatever the case is, and they can say good night. But, they're not going to do that, hopefully. But if they do, where would you find us? Where would you find us? Would you string two cans together and, hey, African Diaspora News Channel, or would you just be able to go to the app and find us where we upload, download, however you say it, the same information and stuff that you get here on YouTube? So I'm just asking some questions. Just want to make sure that you are plugged in. Anyway, who do we have here? Brother Stephen, how you doing? Tell your beautiful wife that I said hello. So, okay, let's get into it for the sake of time. As you guys may or may not know, we were in the middle of a shutdown that lasted a record-breaking 43 days. That is officially over as of last night. President Donald Trump, he signed the official, funding bill to reopen the government. Now, again, this is the second longest shutdown in history, both belonging to him. The first time it was 35 days under his first presidency. Again, this time 43 days. Of course, there was a point of contention in Congress between the Republicans and the Democrats. The Republicans are saying, no, the Democrats want to fund it so they can give illegal immigrants health care. Democrats are saying, no, that's not true. But then the Democrats are saying, well, the Republicans want to give their billionaire buddies, that's what they would say, a $1 trillion tax cut. Nevertheless, the Democrats did not come out the victor in that, and they conceded. In fact, sounds like 8 Democrats went over to the Republican side and said, okay, let's get this over, right, to sign it. Now they have agreed to pick it back up on January 30th of next year, 2026, which is right around the corner. But it sounds like they have agreed to fund food stamps till September of 2026. So there's a whole host of other things going on. So it's slowly opening back up, but there are still some ramifications in regards to air travel. We know that I think they said today still 1,000 flights have been canceled because the Secretary of Transportation, you know what, we need to make sure everything is, good to go. Even though people are starting to go back to work, the air traffic controllers and things like that, we just don't want to force a bunch of airplanes in the sky with, you know, everything still kind of getting back into place because it would be unsafe. Of course, the food stamp thing is still in shambles, although some people have gotten some food stamps, whether the governor of a certain state has released it. As of a couple of days ago, the Trump administration was still trying to fight not to release it. So there's still a lot of people who have not gotten their food stamp benefits. And then as far as the back pay for federal employees that were laid off, is like, yeah, y'all gonna have to wait on that. So it's just a lot going on, but nevertheless, the government is back open. Okay. Now, while the government is open, or actually while it was closed, there was a conversation about a boycott, and I'll show you the verbiage on that. So it was like the blackout something. So anyway, now this kind of fueled it, the shutdown. So obviously it says no spending, no work, no surrender. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed for the wealthy. The mass blackout is a nationwide economic action coordinated across aligned organizations calling Americans to stop online or in-store shopping, except for small businesses, stop going to work. Now, mind you, it's for a whole week, November 25th to December 2nd. Stop streaming and cancel subscriptions, no digital purchases, unless it's African Diaspora News Channel app. And it basically wants to remove the regime. Now they're referring to the Trump administration as a regime. Many people have said it's a regime because I guess Trump is in a sense trying to act like a king, hence the no kings verbiage there. So it says if you must spend, support small local businesses, only pay in cash. We're not targeting small businesses or communities. We're targeting the corporate system that profits from injustice. And let me remove this because I can't see the rest of it. And authoritarianism, y'all do what y'all want to do with that, and crush worker power. Okay, so let me remove that. Now let's get back to this boycott, and specifically with Black Americans. Black Americans are always asked to boycott this, that, and the other, and boycotting is not new to us. Of course, we can go back, as we always use for an example, the Montgomery boycott, with that of was led rather by Martin Luther King due to Rosa Parks, but it really was Claudette Colvin, a 15-year-old who was asked to get out of her seat due to white people wanting to sit in there. Of course, back then, if you were Black, you had to sit at the back of the bus, right? You just had to, and even if the seats were full, a white person came back there and said, yo, I need to sit there, you had to get up. So anyway, we're not strangers to that. But I asked that question because I've been asked that question. I've been asked that question so many times, it seems like within the last week or so. Are Black Americans still going to boycott? Are we still boycotting now that the shutdown is over? And in short, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know why we wouldn't. But then as I got to thinking about it, it's like because we seem to, whenever something is solved per se, or it seems like the pain of whatever it is over, then we tend to kind of just go back to La La Land. I could go to something like the Colin Kaepernick boycott. Of course, you know that when he was, as they say, blackballed, whiteballed from the NFL due to taking a knee over protesting police brutality in America, we were all supposed to, you know, hang in there, stand 10 toes down with him and all that, but we didn't do that for whatever reason, right? So most people have gone back to watching football and things. So we basically, I'm just speaking to us as Black Americans, we have a very short memory, or we kind of just say, okay, that was over. Let's kind of go back to normal type thing. But with this shutdown, whether there's a shutdown or not a shutdown, Black Americans were still in the same situation. We still do not have reparations. We still do not have a hate crime bill, and a whole host of things that we were asking for. We are still, in a sense, at the bottom of the totem pole, as Dr. Claude Anderson always talks about, economically and everything else you can think of. So because it's back open, nothing has changed for us. But the only thing that will change, I think, is the illusion that, okay, now we're okay. If you were affected by whatever the case is, and even if you weren't directly affected by the boycott, you were going to be affected eventually, right? It was going to trickle down, up, sideways, or whatever it was. But also, when I think about boycotts, I want to play a clip from that of Martin Luther King Jr. From April 3rd, 1968. I've been to the mountaintop speech, where he gave a speech at a church in Memphis, Tennessee, regarding the sanitation workers who were predominantly Black and who were not being treated fairly due to racial discrimination. They were paid very low wages, were not privy to health care, pensions, vacations, just a whole bunch of things. And so from that, about 1,300 sanitation workers say, yeah, okay, we're going to strike. Now, anytime the sanitation department strikes, which is those who pick up the garbage in the neighborhood, that's not a good thing. We saw that recently. I think it was this year, where it was Philadelphia, where they went on strike due to, I think it was the mayor, if I'm not mistaken, was trying to give a raise to her homies, where she works there in City Hall, but was not trying to give city workers any raise. It was like a real tiny raise or something like that. And so the sanitation workers were like, oh, okay, well, you hold this garbage, right? So I'm going to show y'all this speech, about a minute or so. So here we go.
We don't have to argue with anybody. We don't have to curse and go around acting bad with our words. We don't need any bricks and bottles. We don't need any Molotov cocktails. We just need to go around to these stores and to these massive industries in our country and say, God sent us by here to say to you that you're not treating his children right. And we come by here to ask you to make the first item on your agenda fair treatment where God's children are concerned. Now, if you're not prepared to do that, we do have an agenda that we must follow. And our agenda calls for withdrawing economic support from you. And so as a result of this, we're asking you tonight to go out and tell your neighbors not to buy Coca-Cola in Memphis. Go by and tell them not to buy sealed test milk. Tell them not to buy, what is the other bread? Wonder Bread. And what is the other bread come to, Jesse? Tell them not to buy Heart's bread. As Jesse Jackson has said, up to now, only the garbage men have been feeling pain. Now we must kind of redistribute the pain.
All right, so let's take Martin Luther King Jr. down. All right, so again, that speech was made on April 3rd, 1968, and he was assassinated the next day. Now, some have speculated that maybe the powers that be didn't like his speech, but then there's some who say, well, that was already going to be a thing, right? Maybe it was already planned. Of course, we know, was it James Earl Ray? He is the one that did it. Now, of course, they'll say, well, he did it because he was, a racist, and some of that's probably true. But then, of course, if you listen to a lot of conspiracies and things, a lot of people say, no, that was actually done to him by the powers that be. All right. Anyway, so again, the premise of that speech was basically to call for unity, economic actions, nonviolent protests, and boycotts, right? Now, and I should say too, I guess prayers for Jesse Jackson. It sounds like he was admitted to the hospital last night. He's 84 years old. He's dealing with Parkinson's. So, just prayers for him, because he was mentioned by Martin Luther King. But one of the things that in that speech that really stood out to me was when he was telling us what to do back then. Go to these stores and things like that and tell them what it is that we want, right? We want y'all, since we spend so much money, he named all the companies, with y'all, we want you all to treat us fairly, for better words, and, maybe pour back into the community economically. And he says, if you're not prepared to do that, then we must boycott. Okay, now that was when? 1968. We are here in 2025. And I think from all that time, 50-something years ago, almost 60, I guess, I think it's been illustrated that the system, whether it's the government, corporations, or whatever it is, they're not willing to acquiesce any of the things that we're asking for, right? So at what point do we say, oh, okay, it's time for us to really boycott and this really take our money from the system that will not do for us? In fact, in a lot of cases, they do things to us, because that's what he was saying, right? If you don't, then we will. But again, we kind of get rocked back to sleep by thinking, everything is okay. Now, he made some key points in I've been to the mountaintop speech. And some people would also say that in a sense, he predicted his own death. I don't know. Just kind of weird that it was the next day that he was taken out there at the Lorraine Hotel in Memphis, Tennessee. But some of the things that he was saying in the speech is separately, we are poor, right? Some people will say it's Black Americans. Yeah, we're poor separately, but together we are an economic powerhouse, which is true. Which is now we say what we'll see about $2 trillion in our community by the end of the year, give or take. So yeah, we put all that money together. We are an economic powerhouse. We could strike a mighty blow per se. But the unfortunate part is we know that we give 97% of that away to everybody else. Okay, we only keep 3% of that. So that's kind of goes in line with, okay, individually we're poor. And then he also says, stop supporting racism. Instead, empower Black businesses. So stop supporting racism means stop giving money to corporations that you know that do not like you simply because you're Black, right? Don't give them your money. We've seen and heard a lot of examples in the last couple of years, whether it's Gucci, you know, you name it. Different companies that have illustrated, and we're not really necessarily you're not our cup of tea, but we like your money. But again, he says empower Black businesses. That's where the money should be going. That after, you know, all these years, that's not something we should even have to keep reminding ourselves. Like I said, it baffles me why we have to keep having those conversations. Shop Black. Make sure you go buy Black today. I mean, it should just be second nature like it is to everybody else. But unfortunately, and I'm just speaking as a Black American, we are very good. You know, as Dr. Claude Anderson say, we are very good at boycotting, and we just boycott each other, right? We boycott each other's businesses, whatever it is, but we give all of our money to everybody else. And those everybody else's, as far as the corporations and things like that, they're not really interested in saying, hey, whoever's in the White House right now is Trump. Hey, Trump, you know, Black Americans, they want reparations. And the corporations won't get involved in that because they're like, well, they're going to keep giving us their money. No matter what, you listen, you can put your knee on their neck in the middle of the street. You can, you know, brutalize them on cameras. Like there's nothing you can't do. You could pew their women in their own homes, right, in their kitchens as they're calling for it. Like there's nothing you can't do. You can, you know, even going back to Emmett Till, you could string up their children or, you know, put an anchor on their neck and put them at the bottom of the ocean for allegedly whistling at a white woman, and they still won't shut you down. So why would they speak up for us, right? We continue just to, you know, give back into those things. And then he also said, and for lack of better words, corporations understand economic pressure. What's economic pressure? That's, well, you know, you're not really for us. Most corporations are not for Black Americans, right? You're not for us, so I'm not going to give you my money. I'm going to find a Black business to give my money to, or I just don't give my money at all. But that kind of goes into, you know, Black Americans, especially, we're very consumeristic. I know a lot of people are, but we seem to kind of, you know, do that a lot more than everybody else for whatever reason. So the question is, are we still boycotting? Were we ever boycotting? Now, I guess I should also talk about Target. We know that Target was being boycotted. I don't know if it still is. And Target lost a lot of money. And they, being, you know, these experts, pundits or whatever, they attributed that to the success of it, rather, to Black Americans. So it's not that Black Americans don't know how to boycott. It's not that we can't. And in some cases, it's not even that we won't. It's just that we won't do it for ourselves. Because, you know, Target was being boycotted due to the DEI things. And I guess they promised to give, you know, Black businesses or whatever some money. And they reneged on that due to the Trump administration going in there and saying, hey, this DEI stuff, we got to get rid of that. And so a lot of corporations did it. Target was just the main target, no pun intended. So we can do it, but why won't we do it for us? That is the question. So anyway, let me get into the comment section. Thank you so much for bearing with me. I did 20 minutes and I'm supposed to do 15. Anyway, African Native, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Sister Sunlight. I don't know. You got to press the bell, I guess, for notifications. Listen, I have my notifications on for certain things, and I don't always get notifications either. It's kind of like you just gotta know, I'm here Tuesday through Thursday, 11 a.m. Central Time. So I was like, okay, I know she gonna be on. And if I'm not, I try to I'll try to in the future, put a notification or something up. But yeah, I'll always be here. So just kind of check, 7 o'clock at p.m. Central Time. Brother Phil is gonna go live, usually Monday through Friday. So just kind of like, okay, 7 o'clock, let me go see what they got going on, type of thing, right? So yeah. Let's see. Dorian, how you doing? He says Black Power all day. But what does Black Power mean? Because I'm one of those people, I just like, oh, yeah, Black Power. But what does it actually mean? Is it just we stick our fist up in the air and we say Black Power? Or is there something actually behind it? Black Power, economic unity? Is it boycotting the system? Like, what is Black Power? I'm just asking, just kind of came to my mind. Randy C in the building. How you doing? Dorian says, boycott works wonders. It does, but why won't we do it? What are we afraid of? Nah, I get the whole, maybe I'm not going to go to work thing. Again, the sanitation workers back in 1968, they was like, yeah, we going to strike. We're going to strike because you're not treating us right, type of thing. And I don't know if they were unionized. Something tells me they probably were. I probably should have looked, or whatever the case is. But boycotts work. We just ain't our ancestors. We're not. And I know that sounds kind of mean and austere or whatever, but we're just not. We don't have the heart that our ancestors had. And maybe that needs to be explored. Why don't we have the heart that our ancestors used to have? That like they were unapologetic, right? Like, oh, there's a dog in a water hose. Bet. So what? I'm gonna do what I gotta do, type of thing, right? Okay, my feet gonna be hurting. I really ain't got a lot of money to get a cab or whatever it is, so I'm gonna have to walk to work. Bet. Let me put on my good shoes and I'm gonna walk to work, and then I'm gonna walk back so that we send them, the system a message. You're not gonna keep playing with us. Which, as Dr. Claude Anderson also explained, that some Black-owned bus companies went under. But even with that, and I'm not demonizing them, just kind of because I'm in the future. You would think that we probably would have said, okay, let's get our own bus lines up and running. To heck with begging white folks to write their stuff. And then when we get on there, we got to get up because they white, right? We got to stand up or whatever it is. So, yeah, it works. Somebody says should be boycotting against the system that is still forcing us into a destitute existence. We won't do it. Good friend of mine, Brother Jonell, he always uses the phrase illusion of inclusion. Illusion of inclusion basically means that we are under the illusion that we are included, right? They want to include us. The only thing they want to include is our money. That's it. They don't want to include us in anything else other than the money. That's it. They don't like you because you're Black, but they want to deal with you because your money is green, because their money is green. But I don't know. We just won't do it. Maybe we're comfortable. As Brother Phil talks about a lot, comfortable in captivity. And there's a lot of truth to that. We're comfortable. Yeah, it kind of sucks what they're doing to us, but I'm comfortable because it's going to cost me something. If I boycott something for my people, to get fair treatment, then it's going to cost me something. I might not have the convenience of, I don't know, let's pretend we're in the bus, riding the bus in the 50s. I think that's when it was, 60s. I don't know. I might not have the convenience of riding the bus. I just get on the bus at the bus stop and it drops me off at work. I might have to walk. And, I got to get up early, and we don't want to be inconvenienced. Dorian is saying 2025 nationwide Black boycotting banks, financial institutions, businesses, stores, restaurants, brands, people, and governments. Black people bankrolling our oppressors. Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice if we did all of that? There are some Black-owned banks. I would just say this with some of these Black-owned banks. I have an account, One United, and I just recently learned it wasn't like that when I first got it, but they Black-owned, but they got people who don't look like us, on the board and stuff like that. So to me, I'm like, okay, it's Black-owned, but it's not Black owned and operated. See, I like to look behind the scenes. Who's on your board? Is it really truly Black? So yeah, we got some banks. We don't have as many as we used to, but there's some. We can put our money in or whatever the case is. But yeah, I agree. Gary, how you doing? Say, what year is this? What you mean? What year? Like today? Today is 2025, but you're talking about Martin Luther King. That was 1968. I think that's what you're talking about. Dorian says, no reparations, no Black soldiers for Americas, and you put the triple Ks up in there. Wars, yeah. I never tell anybody what to do. My father, he went to the nation when he was 19 years old. He joined the Nation of Islam, and he's still, FOI, Fruit of Islam, at 81 years old. My dad was also drafted for the Vietnam War. But of course, being in the nation, they're like, Of course, I know the story with Muhammad Ali. But my dad is what they call the conscious objector, but there's a little bit more to it than that. And they kept on trying to draft him, but he kept on saying, nah, I'm not picking up arms for the United States, because when I come back, you're going to treat me the same. I'm going to deal with the same old racism and things like that. And he says, as of his beliefs and the things, that he knows, he just couldn't do it. So they kept on bringing him back. And so they would sit him down in front of the psychologist because they thought he was crazy, because he kept saying, I'm an Asiatic Black man, right? And they kept thinking he was crazy. So they kept on bringing him back. And finally, they basically said he's off his rocker. And he didn't have to go, nor did he have to do the 5 years that you would have to do for not going. They just kind of said, yeah, he's not fit to go, which is fine. But so I'm not fit to go, because I'm telling you why, as a Black man, this is my dad speaking, right? That I will not go pick up arms for a country who will not do it for me. I'm crazy. So yeah. But again, I know people who have served in wars or joined the military. I'm not demonizing them, but for those who don't, for those type of reasons, it's like, yeah, they understand. So, okay, Randy, so you answering the question. Zenobia, how you doing? Shalom to you as well. He says, I really don't understand why we would even entertain that question, seeing that we're still being discriminated against. Honda, what do we need to do? We just need to be serious. But again, as I said yesterday, I think it was on this show, is that we got to stop attaching emotions only to things like boycotts and start attaching logic. Because again, emotions make you feel something one way or the other, whether you're mad, you're happy, you're in love, or whatever it is. Those things are fleeting. They're temporary. So, for example, when you see a Black man have an officer put his knee to his neck for almost 10 minutes, it's very enraging. Okay. Especially when they put it on the news all day and it's kind of recycling and you're talking about it, it's happening, the protests and everything's going. But then when that stuff starts to dwindle and it goes away, guess what? Your emotions start to, man, I remember when I was so mad when I would see that video of, George Floyd having his life taken from him. But, yeah, I mean, but because it's not before you, because it's emotional, right? But if you're logical, you're like, we need to be, boycotting because, it's police brutality. And if they do it to him, they'll do it to somebody else. And they've done it to somebody else. And, reparations is, it's an atonement that needs to be had for the original sin of slavery, America's original sin. They have not paid for the labor that they stole, Jim Crow, the things that they've done to our ancestors when they were off of those plantations, the redlining and the gentrification and all these things, right? Those are the things that just to drive us to say, well, yes, I'd like to go partake in this store and go buy that. But I know that me as a Black American, I don't have any of the stuff that is due me, right? A lot of people say, oh, that's a handout. It's not a handout. It's a debt that's owed, right? When you owe a debt to somebody, your credit card company, your mortgage company, they don't say, well, if you want to pay it, or, us asking for the money that you owe is a handout. They like, you owe us. Ring, ring, ring. Have you ever owed somebody? I have. I was in debt once. Okay. The 2008, mortgage. That's a long story, but yes, I was in debt, and I knew every time the phone rang, it's gonna be somebody. Hello, this is a call from, and you're is this amount overdue, right? So they don't stop. They keep calling, and eventually they find your accounts a little bit. I've had that happen too. Oh my God, it was so devastating. Where they go into your account and they alleviated of all the little bit of money you had left. They don't stop. They keep going until they get it or they ruin your credit or whatever it is. So yeah. David, how you doing? Says, yes, redistributing the pain. Yep, that's what Martin Luther King Jr. said during that speech. Justin, how you doing? Says, from Jefferson City, Missouri. Dorian says, 3 to the third power, reparations or risk revolution. Well, we could do that with our money. We don't need to get out there romping and stomping. You can do that with our money. Economic revolution. Pop, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Sunlight says there has to be a massive mutual aid organized for a boycott to be successful. Yeah, I agree with that. But if I'm right here saying, hey, and y'all heard it before, hey, let's boycott because of all the things we always talk about, like I live with my daughter. I could say, hey, this is what we need to do. So we could like kind of do a proximity thing. Talk to the people that were close to about it. It's, talking points as old as time at this point. Martin Luther King Jr., even Marcus Garvey, they were all saying the same thing. Divest from oppression, But I hear what you're saying. LG, how you doing? Ezel, what's going on with you? Shalom to you. Says, lower order of the flesh desires things of the flesh, but higher order is of the spirit, or flesh is strong and enticing. Therefore, they will follow after the flesh. One love, Yah, follow spirit. I like it. Dorian says, contact the Congressional Black Caucus. Ask them about their stance on reparation movement. That would be a very short call. Or a very long one, because they'll do a lot of stuttering. Well, what happened was, now you know the answer to that. You just like a lot of kicks and giggles, don't you? It's okay. African Native says, I was born March 28, 1968, days before MLK assassination. All right. Let's see. Be more. Day, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Randy says, even back then, all we asked for was better pay, working conditions, and education, and we're still asking for that today. I'm one of those people, I don't like to repeat myself. You can ask anybody who knows me, my nieces and nephews, my daughters. Just different people know me. I don't like to repeat myself. I'm not going to keep asking for something. Either I'm going to get it or I'm not. And if it's due me, I'm going to figure out a way to get it. Oh, yes, I'm aggressive when it comes to something that's owed to me. Very. Right? So we have to stop asking. Stop repeating ourselves. Just do. Because one thing people understand is money, economic pressure. They understand that, but, best example is, let's say you have a child. You say, if you keep doing that, you're going to get in trouble. They do it again. You keep doing that, you're going to get in trouble. Do it again. You better not do it. If you do it again, the child is like, go somewhere with all that. You ain't going to do nothing. You ain't about that life. So it's the same thing. We keep asking. Corporation, the government is like, they're a pest, but they'll go away. TC, how you doing? Says, I'm definitely doing a blackout. The Dems can't rule. And so he said, it's up to us. Oh, yeah. Count on the Democrats. African Native, thank you so much for that. Love and appreciate you as always. Thank you. Let's see who else is on here. I know I've been running my mouth. Mike, nice. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. That's my triple OG moderator on my channel. Let's see. African Native says, not the heart, but the spirit of the ancestors. We don't have none of it. We don't have the heart, the spirit. Some may say that. I don't know. It's the same. We don't have any of it. We weak. Now I know somebody gonna get mad, but we're weak. Weak sauce. We are weak because we don't want it to cost us something. That's inconvenient. Weak. Armin, how you doing? Says, no more pagan holidays. I done left those alone a long time ago. I don't do holidays at all. I don't. And I've had a lot more money in my pocket ever since. But yes. Ezel says, boycotting since 2019, no debt, no tax and pay, no ties, Melchizedek, priesthood, one love, one God. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you should be paying the tithes outside of the church. That's just me. I ain't trying to tell y'all what to do because I might get in trouble with your pastor. For me, I just rather give it to people outside of the church. It's faster. They don't have to go through all the bureaucracy of the church. I just give, if I know somebody in need, there you go. Let me skip down just a tiny bit. Sunlight says, I started boycotting Starbucks last month and still going strong. I buy local coffee only and apply that to other things. No chain store items that you can get locally, preferably Black owned. Yes, indeed. I ain't been messing with Starbucks in a minute. A long time. I don't like Starbucks coffee, and I don't like their politics. I don't like their CEO. I don't like any of the stuff that they stand for. So yeah, but yeah, and it's high. The coffee is high. I like to make mine at home, and sometimes I do go buy coffee other chains as well, smaller chains. So yeah, I get that. Mike says, where can I find the shirt that you're wearing? WANO.net. WANO.net. Oh, let me take this down. Yeah, it's a good friend of mine, Black owned, Mr. Terry Beard. He makes these shirts. It has broken chains on it like that, and there's something on the back. It's the whole thing spelled out on the back of the shirt. So yeah, WANOA.net. Yes, and thank you. Yeah, Mike, it says they owe Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. African Native says, what pisses me off the most is that many new immigrants tend rather to disrespect Black Americans, not knowing that the freedom and the success they enjoy is the fruit of Black American struggle and blood and more. Yeah, it's a couple things, and I don't know it all, but a lot of it is they're just kind of watching what's going on in America. They watch the oppressor do it to us. They watch the oppressor label us, demonize us on the news all day long. You look up at somebody Black doing something wrong, this, that, and the other. There was one president of Japan, I think it was a while back, that said Black people infest America like cockroaches. Where would he be getting that from? You know what I mean? So I say all that to say a lot of people who come over here, immigrants, they are taught that Black Americans are at the bottom. You treat them bad. They ain't worthy of this, that. We're better than them. This is why you hear a lot of people say, I'm not Black. And then they describe themselves as to whatever they are, but they sure find out that they're Black when they come over here, and the system reminds them, you Black. Like my friend Donovan always says, a lot of the immigrants come over here and they want to get all there is to get, right? The loans and just the great stuff. They want to come and partake of the glory, and I say that loosely, of America. Then they come over here and get some racism. And he says, nah, don't come over here just for the good stuff. Come over here and get some of this good old racism too. Why are you special? Why do you get to say, no, I don't want any of that. I'll take some more of that though. Nah, because the premise is the system, especially when they see Blacks, they don't say, well, sometimes they do. Just depends on where, right? But what kind of Black are you? Because I'm warming up my knee, right? I'm warming up my knee, and I'm trying to decide if I'm going to put it on your neck. Are you a Black American? You Nigerian? Kenyan? Like, Jamaican? What are you? It doesn't do that, right? Abner Louima in New York. Y'all know the story with that. If you don't, I can't really get into it here. It's pretty graphic, but they did some things to him that you should never do. Okay, they did something with a broom plunger or something like that. That's not the purpose of, right? From what I understand, he was not Black American. He was, from the continent. So racism, white supremacy does not discriminate necessarily like that. I know on a higher level, the government, they do tap into some other pools of Black people for other things because they feel like they're not as conditioned as Black Americans are to say, oh, hell to the no, right? Sometimes they come over and say, yes, we will. Yeah, we'll do it. And they'll say yes to things that we've been saying no to. just in the sense to say, hey, we have a black face in a black or in a white space. So yeah. Let's see. And I'm going to get out here just a little earlier because I know something's coming up at 12. And Armani says we are literally hated by all nations. Yeah, but the most important thing is that we don't hate ourselves. See, when we stop hating ourselves, game changer. It's a game changer. When we stop hating ourselves, everything's going to be just nice. But yeah, they hate us. But the question is, why do we hate us? We'll see when we can answer that and we stop hating us. I'm telling you, I can see it from here. I can see it. Sunlight says, did you know that those senators are getting $500,000 when the government opens? I didn't hear anything about that. Wouldn't be surprised, but I haven't heard anything like that. And you also say Dutch Bros is the next Starbucks. Yeah, Dutch Bros they stay busy, right? Jasmine, how you doing? Says, yes, I usually make my coffee at home. Yeah, I usually do. If I go out, if I get out early, yeah, I might buy a coffee, but usually I make it at home. I like my coffee better. LG says, we were here before them. Yep. They came before Columbus. Sunlight says, roaches are radioactive. They can survive many things. You ain't lying. You ain't lying. You know, I often ask, when God told Noah to build the boat, it's like, did you need to take 2 roaches with you? Roaches, they couldn't have drowned. Like, why did they, like, what's the purpose of a roach? You know what I mean? African Native says, we're going to correct that, Demetra Kaye. Yes, indeed. We should. You know, Black Americans, we deserve respect. Our ancestors have been through a lot. Our ancestors have paved the way, not just for us, but for everybody else. And the disrespect is crazy. It's sad, actually, because it's like, why would you want to do that? If it wasn't for our ancestors, a lot of, you know, people come over here, you wouldn't be enjoying the freedoms that you enjoy, right? Sunlight says, his story was horrible. Armin says, these nations can't walk the mile in our shoes. Nope, they cannot. CG, how you doing? Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. Mike says, thanks for the information about the shirt. It is my pleasure. Yes, indeed. Dorian says, they not like us. If I never hear that song again, I couldn't be happier. I like Kendrick Lamar. I really do. But that song is kind of nails to a chalkboard. But yes, they not like us. Armin says, definitely self-love is the best love. Yes, indeed. Let me tell you, that's a whole different story. And you also say the fall of Babylon, America. America definitely is Babylon. If you don't know, now you know. Guts, how you doing? So anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Love and appreciate every last one of y'all. I will be back here on Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Time. Please stay tuned for all the other contributors as they are putting forth wonderful, must-know content. And, you know, it's a way to support this channel, even though we don't own YouTube. It's a Black-owned channel with a lot of Black-owned content. And unfortunately, they do not, and I want to say this in a sense, they kind of seem like they suppress our stuff. So yeah, if y'all could just, you know, remember just to tap in every once in a while, say, hey, what do they got going on today on the African Diaspora News Channel? Because yeah, you could get the news on the regular news and that's fine too, but you ain't gonna get it like you get it over here. I promise you that. So anyway, love, when is Thanksgiving? You said, Sunlight Peace, family, no Thanksgiving. I don't even know when it is. It's like the last month or the week of the month. So anyway, I love everybody. Jasmine, how you doing? See y'all later. Peace.